Hi, and welcome to this week's episode. This week's episode is all about what I would call positioning. Positioning is how you, as an individual and on behalf of your business, present yourself and create your position in the marketplace so that people can clearly see what is it that you do, how do you do it, and what problems do you fix. And of those three things, the most important is the third. If people don't understand the problems that you're genuinely good at fixing, it becomes difficult for them to be able to pick you, unless they are a very transactional buyer. And there are a lot of very transactional buyers out there who have this perception that the role of a recruitment business is to furnish them with CVs, right? So in their mind, they go, here is a brief, and that may be as simple as a job description. And our anticipation in return, when we give you the job description, you'll then do some work to send us some CVs. There endeth the majority of the value proposition of your business. They see you as being a CV finder. And this is starting to become a challenge for some recruitment agencies because they are encountering objections that within their business they haven't heard for 4 or 5 years. Objections that revolve around, we've got plenty of candidates, we don't need your help. We're finding our own advertising and our own outreach work is producing enough choice for us. And as they encounter these objections, the undercurrent, the hidden message, the subtitles of the prospect is really saying, I only feel that you're of value when I can't find any CVs, and because I can find some CVs, you're no longer of value, therefore ipso facto, I don't need you. Which must mean they only believe that a recruitment agency is able to add value to what they're doing from a hiring perspective in the formation of shortlists or the generation of CVs. And if that isn't difficult, then the recruitment agency themselves is redundant. And these agencies who are encountering this objection, whose mouth goes dry when they're on the phone and they don't quite know what to say because for the last 4 or 5 years they've not encountered it. And strangely, for the last 4 or 5 years, the majority of their pitch has revolved around, I can help you to find good people. And in fact, they've targeted things like job adverts, and they've targeted job adverts as a form of a lead because they know that the feedback that they'll get is, we don't have enough CVs, we're struggling to be able to find anyone. And that's when they position themselves as being the solution. So because after years of practice, they've been positioning themselves as being the finder of CVs, because their strongest leads had always been the companies who are hiring who are unable to actually secure enough CVs to move forward and do some hiring. Now that that's gone, their position in the marketplace has gone. Now that those clients who for 4 or 5 years they've been invoicing for placements on jobs that they've been struggling to be able to find people for, so therefore had instructed the agency, that marketplace has gone. And those agencies are finding it difficult to be able to communicate to their clients, this is where we add value. And they're getting a bit stuck. And they're stuck because of positioning that has been created in the minds of their prospects and their clients, positioning that has been created by their own sales messaging. So those who are doing well have repositioned themselves. In fact, I would say that some of them haven't had to reposition themselves because they've been doing the right thing for the last 4 or 5 years, because they've been positioning themselves of being greater value than simply being a catch-all net to find CVs. So the ones who are doing well are the ones who are creating better positioning. They still encounter the same objections. But when they encounter that objection, which is, we're not using agencies because we seem to be able to find our own people, it doesn't faze them because they know finding people isn't difficult. life starts to get more complicated the further you go through the process. So if finding people is relatively easy, maintaining engagement becomes more challenging. And it becomes more challenging because there are more people to engage with, right? When you run an advert and you get 4 people apply, making contact with those 4 people, having a meaningful conversation with them in an attempt to create engagement isn't that difficult. When you have 100 people apply, it becomes more challenging. So you now have these organizations who are receiving more applications, and because of the volume of the applications, the level of engagement is starting to drop. And as the level of engagement starts to drop, the level of commitment those individuals have to that specific application also reduces. And if they have multiple applications taking place with degradation of engagement, let's say at a rate of an average of 25% per role that they're applying for, they start to become avid shoppers who can see that there is enough opportunities out there for them to have choice. And maybe it starts to become more challenging for some of these businesses to actually maintain that momentum from application through to extending an offer. So the engagement piece is the first place where those businesses will find it more difficult. The recruitment agencies who get dry mouth when they hear we've got plenty of candidates, we don't need your help, because they've been selling finding for so long, they don't really have any kind of positioning statements to help them to realign with the second challenge, which is engagement. And those organizations who get enough engagement that they have people turning up for an interview may still have issues that revolve around assessment. There has been a challenge for businesses for time immemorial in being able to assess people's true capability. Still too many organizations interview people based upon their biography, based upon the war stories that they can share about things that they've done. Relatively few hiring managers are capable of interviewing somebody to assess their ability to deliver an outcome. Strengths-based interviewing, capability-based interviewing, skills-based interviewing is still in the minority. So that means if you have a perception of choice and lots of candidates, you have a slight reduction in engagement because of the amount of noise which is out there, and you have still this endemic low-level capability to assess if someone can do the job, you may end up appointing somebody who doesn't stay very long. And we actually see that the average tenure in jobs decreases when the number of applicants on a job increases, because there is more noise, there is a greater perception that the job isn't going to be that difficult to fill, and it just reduces the level of attention that's being paid to ensure that they're hiring the right person. And then certainly from an assessment perspective, those organizations invest little to no effort in assessing the individual candidate's motivation to actually understand why would you be applying for this specific role, because what's baked into their assumptions is because the person has applied, because the person has turned up for the interview, they are interested in us. It doesn't mean automatically that they are interested in you. They may be interested in fixing their situation. They may not be any closer to wanting to work for you or to do the job that you've got. They may just feel as though they're getting closer to getting away from the situation they found themselves in, which was a period of unemployment through redundancy, or an avid desire to find another job because conditions were changing at work as they were bringing people back into the office. So they were looking to make a move to get away from something rather than to join you. So as those businesses fail to be able to assess for capability, fail to be able to assess for motivation, it makes it more difficult for them to be able to secure people and to be able to retain people. So from a sales perspective, from a positioning perspective, as a recruitment business, you have all of the knowledge, you have all of the skill set, you probably have the product offering to be able to show businesses, this is where we add true value. the traditional recruitment agency, and I don't think it will be long. Give it another 12 months, and there will be this mantra. There may even be clients who challenge people and say, are you a traditional recruitment agency? Like the traditional recruitment agency that might help us to be able to find CVs? Or are you the more forward thinking recruitment business that helps us to be able to improve the quality of our hiring? Because when you've got all of the skills and the capability and potentially the product offering to be able to do it, and you can start to show organizations how you can add value throughout the entirety of that process. The easy bit is the finding people. I even thought when there was a skill shortage, high demand, and apparently low supply of good candidates, finding people wasn't difficult. Like you could do a search on LinkedIn for pretty much any job and find at least 200 people. Finding them wasn't difficult. Engaging with them, getting responses, that was the challenge. And most people's reaction to it being difficult to engage with them was, I need more people, rather than I need to get better at communicating with the people who ignore me. And I think many of those skills are just as important today, like how we actually help organizations to be able to engage with the people who they truly want to employ, and how we help to be able to communicate to those people why they would truly want to work for this organization. I think that's a big part of recruitment and a big part of process management that isn't necessarily in the typical question set or presentation set for a recruitment agency. As a recruitment business, you'd want to be able to show these are the common symptoms of what we would consider to be the problems organizations face when they're hiring. And if these are the symptoms, and we can track that back to this being root cause, we can now position ourselves as being a business who focuses on helping organizations make better hiring decisions, rather than being a recruitment agency who helps them to be able to find CVs. And I feel that there is a stark difference between those two things. I feel how we ask questions, how we present our business, how we talk about case studies and other organizations that we've helped, all of that creates positioning. And as you get better at positioning yourself for those things, one of the byproducts will be not everyone wants to do business with you, because there will be organizations out there who don't want to admit that they have problems in their actual process of hiring people. They quite like having agencies there to find CVs who they can blame for some of their challenges. They quite like having elastoplast fixes for some of their biggest issues, like agencies who agree to extended rebates. They find it easier to negotiate an extended rebate with an agency rather than fix their onboarding process to ensure that people are more likely to stay. So as organizations remain in some form of denial about their level of capability of being able to hire effectively, the more you position yourself as being the offerer of that solution, the greater the probability is not everyone wants to do business with you. And that, my friends, is a good thing. If everyone wants to do business with you, and I pause for a moment, right? I'm thinking about it. If everyone wants to do business with you, they might not actually want to do business with you. They might be willing to enter a process with you as long as it's under the same terms as all of the other agencies. And as long as their perception is the service is exactly the same, i.e. we give you a job, you run off and find some CVs, you bring us the CVs, at no point are we expected to pay you any money until the person starts. And if they leave somewhere in the first 6 months, we'll probably negotiate hard with you on a rebate to be able to ensure that we're not carrying the liability for the thing that sits at the heart of the process that we've designed that is ineffective at assessing capability and motivation to join. So I had to check myself, right? When When everyone wants to do business with you, it doesn't mean they actually want to do business with you. It means they're happy to give you a go. They're happy to throw you a job description. They're happy to take some CVs. As you start to become more certain about the problems that you fix and how you help to be able to develop better quality hiring processes on behalf of your clients, less people will want to get involved with that because it's going to require some change. But those who do will do so with maximum commitment. And those who do with maximum commitment, they will pay you well. And they will pay you well because they see that the value is greater than the simple act of getting those CVs into their inbox. So I'd encourage all of you who are listening to take a little time out, 20 minutes. Start to think about your position in your marketplace, how you position yourself as being a specialist in something. And the thing that you specialize in is less about the market, right? It's not that you specialize in automotive engineers. It's what you specialize in fixing. It's where you position yourself to be able to say, if you have these ailments, if you have these headaches, if these symptoms regularly present themselves to you, at its core, I specialize in fixing those problems. So if you would like to reduce your churn rate, if you would like to be able to increase the stickiness of your hires, if you would like to increase the level of productivity that you see in your manufacturing process, if you would like to see a shorter runway from hiring somebody to seeing them contributing to your business, those are the things that I specialize in doing. Those are the problems that I specialize in fixing. Oh, and by the way, it's in the automotive sector. Like your true specialism, I don't think it's an external thing. It's something that you have which is internal in your business that helps you to be able to create that positioning, helps somebody to be able to choose you. And when they choose you and it works, they stick with you. And I think that that's really valuable, particularly in today's market, as we are continuing to see an increase in the number of candidates who are being mobile enough to move. And we're starting to see an increase in business confidence to start to go out and hire. Then I think more agencies are going to keep running into that, what feels like a granite objection that actually is just smoke and mirrors for those who truly know how to be able to position themselves as being more valuable than the typical CV finder. So people, I hope this ramble has been of value for you. It's been something that's been on my mind since last week when I went for lunch with that recruiter. I'd love to hear your feedback. If we're connected on LinkedIn, drop me a message, let me know what you think. Give me a bit of a review of the podcast. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, send me a connection request. And then when we're connected, drop me a message, let me know what you think. Give me a review on the podcast. But other than that, I'll see you all next week on another episode.